Welcome to the OTP podcast. We bring you uncensored and unfiltered football chat. I'm your host, O or OJ, joined by my co-host, Chinny and Mr. Y. How you guys feeling?
We back, baby. It's been long. International break's been doing us, but we back.
How you feeling, Mr. Y?
Bro, I'm all blessed, man. I'm looking forward to these week of fixtures, man. International is always a dry week, slow week of football, so it's nice to have the Prem kick off again, man.
Do you know what? I feel like I'm just gonna talk my shiznays for a minute. I feel like I've been in football. I feel like I've been on international break a couple of days before the footballers, and I've just come back and I'm ready to ball out. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel right now. You know what I'm saying? I missed it. I watched the show back without me. It was hurting my feelings. I was trying to get it up in Vegas.
I was gonna say we missed you, bro, but we managed to hit another hour and a half without you.
You got a chat boxes, that's why. Bro, man, it's good to be back though. It's good to be back.
The presence was missed, man. We need your insight on Liverpool, so
you didn't mean you want to groom on Liverpool, but guess what? I'm not gonna jinx it. I was gonna say something. I ain't gonna jinx it. I ain't gonna jinx it because I know what time tomorrow kickoff is. I ain't gonna jinx it. Let's just roll. Let's roll.
Let's roll.
Go straight in. Go straight in.
Yeah, let's go straight in. Chaos.
Chaos. These are, they're my favorite team to talk about, and it's not even my team.
Well, I swear sometimes you prefer talking about them more than you prefer talking about Arsenal.
I'm telling you.
Right. Over there is a circus, bro. It's a circus over there.
Chaos over at United as they host Brighton. Now we all know, Mr. Y, you got a soft spot for Brighton, so we all know you also gave
a soft spot for United. Eric,
yeah, you got a soft spot for United. So we're gonna let you.
Listen, let's get it straight. I ain't got no soft spot for United, yeah. But I was looking at United the same way I wanted Arsenal to be looked at when we were in our situation. That's all it was. So I was trying to be fair. Because if I just talk out of hate, I'm just gonna come across like a Twitter troll.
Chitty, can I interrupt you? Can you give a second, Mr. Y? Don't you think he sounds like after Joshua loses and he just starts like just giving the most generic answer to why, most like hit harder than somebody else.
Bro, now I'm keeping it 100 though. Like when we were going through our transition, yeah, I could see a lot of people just vying for blood in it, and I was trying to be the voice of reason. If I talk out of hate, no one's gonna get love. You know what I'm saying? Liverpool, I might show you a little bit of love from the rivals, but United, Spurs, you know what I'm trying to say to you, bro. I'd be sending shots for Spurs, bro. Even though they're doing bits, bro. I'd find something to poke holes at them.
I hear it.
Yeah, I'm trying to say to you, but nah, bro. I said it before, yeah, and I said it straight. I told you, man. I said I need to see something from Ten Hag. This season needs to be the season where we're seeing patterns of play. Even if the results, even if he doesn't finish as higher up as he did, if he doesn't finish third, but if he finishes in that top four, he establishes his philosophy. You can see some sort of growth. You can see where they're evolving into. Similar to what even like you saw at Liverpool under Klopp. When Klopp first came in, right, you saw what he was trying to do. You could see his high pressing style, even though he never had the personnel to do it. You could see what he was trying to implement, and slowly by slowly, as he got his players in, it grew, and that's what I was expecting for Ten Hag. So I wasn't gonna ride them. I know they spent their big P's, this summer, and the summer before, but I wasn't gonna get onto them. I was gonna wait to see how they progress on that front. But bro, it's an absolute shit show over there. Absolute shit. I can't.
You know what? Fuck that guy, bruv. Did you see his interview? Yeah, was it yesterday about the Arsenal game?
Yeah,
saying that they at least should have got a draw, if not won the game. I don't know what game he was managing on the sideline, but it weren't the same game that I was watching.
Bro, you know his head was hot because from when he decided to throw Sancho over the bus. You know his head was hot because there was no need for him to talk about training or whatnot. And that's he was emotional. And even straight after the loss, he was talking about all these different excuses. Hoyland got fouled with a penalty. The goal should have stood. They used the wrong camera angles. Brother, you're on the sidelines. You ain't in the bar you're in the bar room. You're on the sidelines. Man's talking about they used the wrong camera angles. Bro,
Yeah, he's boying it still. He's boying it.
Fergie time. That's why them man are used to Fergie time, so they need that
They
Fergie.
got done in Fergie time, bro. They got done in Fergie time.
That's what makes it worse.
Listen, they held 2 in Fergie time, bro.
Hey, that was crazy, you know. I got mad early for that game, yeah, and I was sitting in there, and there was a war. Like there was Arsenal fans, there was best United fans. It was fuck you, see, we told you, and then you got now. The Man United fan just got up, gone, gone. After Jesus, yeah, turned. Man United fan gone.
Word on the street saying Dallo's still sliding, bro. He's still sliding. Don't know where he is. He might not make the game tomorrow.
Bro, I can't lie. That was naughty. That turn was composure, and you know what? It was nice because that's not something that you usually associate with Gabriel Jesus in front of goal, which is composure, right? So it was nice to see him take his time, know where that defender is, know that the defender is desperate. You know what I mean? Send him back to Portugal and then slot it. You know what I'm saying to you? It was nice. It was nice to see, and it's something that I want to see added to his game because when he's in front of goal, he gets that rush of blood to his head, and he overthinks it, or he overdoes it, or he doesn't strike it when he should do, and he makes the wrong decision. It's probably the reason why he's not the best, the best goal scorer, So it was nice.
I hate you.
It was nice.
Don't worry, Mr. Y. We'll talk about Arsenal soon.
But let's go back. Yeah, let's go back to United, man.
They played Arsenal away, and they were all over. Let's be honest, they were all over the place. We were all over them. They scored their first shot. They scored, and then we were all over them again the whole game. And then they could have come out with something if Garnacho was onside, and it would have been a wrongful result in my eyes. But they're all over the place. They've got Varane injured. They've got Martinez is back now, but they're just all over the gaff. At the end of the game, they ended the game with Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans at centre back. That is chaos. Absolute chaos. They thought they could come to the Emirates and play Bruno, Casemiro, and Eriksen. Ten Hag was smoking something.
Do you think he knows his starting lineup now? Do you think he knows? Because I'm confused who their best. Like, I think I got an idea of who their best starting lineup is. However, he seems to, even though he chooses his team, he seems to stick with it. But then he makes these weird changes away from home, and I'm just like,
the only positive I saw in that game was Rashford scored, which is a positive for United because he hasn't been great. But obviously, since he's been moved back to the left again against Nottingham Forest against Arsenal, he got his goal against Arsenal. What did he get? Assist against Nottingham Forest, and he won a pen. So that's a positive for them. Højlund, when he came on, I mean, he wasn't on for that long, but you can see what kind of player he's going to be. Whether he scores goals or not is another thing, but you can see the trouble that he wants to cause. So I'll give them that. But apart from that, I don't really see any positives. Anthony's going to jail. One of them just got shipped abroad to jail. You got one locked up in Carrington jail. Like, I don't really know what to do, bro. They're talking about paying Palestri, bro. They're talking about paying Palestri. Are you taking the piss? They were linked with Al Ghazi.
Hey, the streets won't forget about him.
Listen, Brighton turning them over tomorrow.
The streets won't forget about him, bro. He was nonsense, bro. You know what? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. In terms of like their performance against Arsenal, it was probably the best I've seen from United in terms of they actually had a game plan, which is they knew we weren't going to press him because Onana's good on goal, like he's good playing at the back. So they found a way to kind of stifle us. So in terms of like on a just a game basis for that particular game, I thought it was actually a decent game plan because we weren't our fluid best, and we couldn't press them because of Onana, and they were cancelling us out almost. They were kind of keeping us at bay. They didn't do nothing.
It was a dangerous game to play though, because it was basically wait for an Arsenal mistake as well and then go. But you guys kept the ball and just kept trying to pepper them until until a mistake or till something happened. But that's very dangerous to be playing that type of game in such an attacking style.
It is if you concede the first one.
But at the same time, right? But at the same time, let's also keep it a buck here. If the United came to the Emirates and tried to play Arsenal football, they'll get slapped. Yeah. So Ten Hag had to do something with the rubbish he's working with. He had to try and do something. and he devised this.
Who's the rubbish he's working with?
Rubbish, big man. He's got
who's the rubbish?
Listen, World Cup winners.
Hold on. Let's keep it 100, bro. Listen, I slander United. This is funny, you know. You man are funny because when I slander United and I call them rubbish, you man are like, who's rubbish?
No. You know that rubbish players and the rubbish that they have,
bro. But I'm just saying to you. But look. The reality is that firstly they had some injury problems. Cool, whatever it may be. But I'm saying to you, he knew they weren't going to be able to go toe to toe with us playing football. So man said, all right, cool. We know Arsenal leave space in behind on counters. We would try and hit them on the break. And if you look at it, right, football's a game with small margins, but his game plan was decent for the game. It was a shit game. It was a boring game to watch. I'm not saying anything, but
let me ask you something, Mr. Like, if you're like a top Man United player like Rashford, like one of their leading players, and you're playing for Man United, one of the leading clubs in the world, and you're training all week, and your manager goes, today we're going to change our style of play because the other team are better than us. So it means that we are going to go there and play this type of football because the other team are better than us. How does that make you feel as a player?
You know what, yeah? I never like to answer a question
like that.
I never like to answer a question with a question, right? But what I will say is this, yeah? I remember United with Fergie. Whenever they used to turn up at Highbury, Fergie's plan, or the way United would play, would change when they went to Highbury, when they were playing Arsenal. It was a completely different game plan. Funny enough, today I was reading something on Twitter, yeah, and I saw it about Pirlo. And Pirlo was talking about, and it was a Rooney quote, actually. And Rooney was basically saying, like, him, Ronaldo, Tevez, they get all the accolades, right? But players like Fletcher and Park Ji-sung aren't remembered as much, yeah? But people won't remember the jobs they've done. Like, one game against Milan, Sir Alex told Park Ji-sung to stick on Pirlo for the whole game because he makes 110 passes or 20 passes a game. And that game he made 40 passes. So that's the great United team. So sometimes when you're playing a real good opposition, even Man City, even Pep said it against Inter. He said they had to change the way they approached the game because of how good Onana was with the goal kicks and breaking the lines through his passing. So essentially, he says, look, you've got to be able to adapt to your opponents, like regardless of who it is. Like when Arsenal play Man City,
I totally understand adapting, but Ten Hag literally gave us. They had nothing. They said there's a different, like Man City against their game.
Yeah, I didn't see none of that in that
game. They had nothing. Like, they didn't even try and keep the ball and play some ball, like when they can.
But they can't.
They went straight and said, you know what, Bruno, can you find Rash? And one time, Eriksen did find him. And the other time, it was just offside for Canacho. And those are the fine margins. But had you have tried to play the game a bit, you might.
Or even like try and grow in the game. I didn't see no signs of them growing in that game. It was little moments, but I didn't see that. You watch the team, you say they grow in the game. I didn't see nothing.
But let's keep it 100 though, right? We've seen United this season get outplayed try to play football, get scored by Wolves. Yeah, struggled against Tottenham, right? So had moments in the game against Nottingham Forest where they struggled. Now you're going to Arsenal, who are supposed to be title challengers. You're going to the Emirates, where you haven't won in numerous years. So when you look at it, having seen where they struggled in the last game, I think it would be insanity to try the exact same method you tried in those last few games and think you're going to get a result. And the reality is that had it not been, like, the game was tight, the game could have easily been a draw. It could have gone their way, but they've lost at the end of the day. So fine margin. But what? Our
bad finishing made the game a problem, but the game wasn't a tight game.
But I'm saying to you, but they did. If you think about it, essentially, we did. It's not like we peppered them for 90 minutes. It's a game where they could have walked out with a draw, and a draw at the Emirates for any team is a good result, right? Especially when you know United ain't going for the title this year. We know their pants. If they took a draw that game, they'd be celebrating. 100%. They'd be like, cool. So what I'm saying to you, the game plan wasn't the worst. The only problem about it is it's a very small team mindset in the fact that they didn't want to play with the ball. And that is the more worrying thing for me.
That's why I asked you how do you think players like, for Bruno, he's probably loving it. He's saying, right, every time I get on the ball, you want me to hit over the top. That's exactly what he wants to do. But for other players, like players that want to, like Eriksen and stuff, you're asking them to do a job that he's not used to. Like, he doesn't understand that kind of job. You can only play over the top to Rashford because Anthony is not outpacing anyone. You got Martial, who's one sprint away from pulling his hamstring and losing everything. Like, it's a very hard way to play when you've only got one player that's ready to do that. So had they have gone Rashford and Garnacho either side, it makes a bit more sense.
Especially for a counter attack, you got pace. You go, all right, cool.
Yeah, like, it didn't really make any sense.
But you got to remember the hard yards Anthony did. I think Anthony, as rubbish as Anthony is, and I call him trash all the time. Defensively, that game, that was where he contributed. Right, it was his work rate. Other than that, on the ball, he's pants. Yeah. What'd you say?
85 million right midfield wing back. Like,
bro, we know he's pants, and obviously now he's on the sidelines for you know what. But let's leave that talk for another day. But that was his contribution. The game was defensive work. I don't know if Garnacho would be as influential defensively or as would support Saka defensively, and I think also that Garnacho offers you what he did, which is coming on in the 70th, 60th, 80th minute and being able to, you know what I mean, have pace to burn with tired legs on the pitch.
We had this convo last time, didn't we? That he is better off the bench.
He's better off the bench.
Yeah. 100%.
You know, one of my things is, though, and this is where I looked at, you guys played a lot of short corners, but he's defensively had United set up the same way, innit? There was no in-game. For me, it's like I wouldn't see him go, okay, Arsenal have now played the last 3-4 corners short, and it could have scored from it almost every time. They've found space. All right, I need you to do this. This is the job. I didn't see nothing, not even a half time when they come out doing the exact same thing. And that's a lot of things that United fans in Las Vegas was complaining about is in-game management. Bro, I didn't see enough.
We done the back post corner in that game like 4 times. Before we scored, before Rice scored, he won one of the headers. One went just past him, and it flew. Like, we done it like 4 times in the game, and they refused to come out of their zonal marking to change what they did. So it's damn right.
You know, Klopp used to all the time. Sorry, we used to set up like that all the time. But in the past, Liverpool's always been, when it came to set pieces, we used to always get destroyed at just zonal defending, zonal marking, and whatnot. And that's something that I've always just hated. I've always preferred a man-to-man.
With zonal marking, you have to have defenders that want to go and head they have to go and head the ball because they don't feel a player. So you have to go and attack the ball. Against United, I think it was like one of our biggest starting 11s for a long time in terms of height and power. Like, we had Gabriel, we had Saliba, we had Ben White, we had Declan Rice, we had Havertz. So, and they didn't really have too much physical prowess in that game, and the in-game management, they didn't really.
That's one of the things that really made me feel like everything I've said is one thing, but to play that game, I get tactically why you set up that way, but in-game management was just a bit like, brother, what are you doing? Listen, especially for set pieces, like United are known. You know what I mean? They're known for like set pieces as well and defending them well. Especially like that's one thing that you could praise Harry Maguire for. But in the past, he's his structure. He's always someone in zone. He's running to the ball regardless. But it just seemed weird. I know they got a 5'4" centre back, but still. But what about? Let's talk about Brighton.
Let's talk about Brighton
and their results. Well, Brighton's last game was against Newcastle, wasn't it? When they not Newcastle. Who's their last win? Was it Newcastle? Brighton's last game. I'm sure it was, right?
Yeah, they won. Yeah, Ferguson hat-trick.
So it's good for me. It's going to be an interesting game because, and I think it's actually going to be a better game for United stylistically because Brighton will pose some. Yeah, because Brighton will pose the same questions Arsenal do. But what will also happen is because there'll be a high line, because they'll press up high, they'll dominate the ball. There'll be moments for United to exploit, and we saw West Ham do that perfectly, you know, and smash them 3-0, wasn't it? Was it 3-0 or 4-0?
No, it was 3-1.
Was it 3-1?
3-1, yeah.
Yeah, so we saw West Ham execute that perfectly, and obviously United have a decent record at Old Trafford. Now, that's not to say United will win the game. I just mean that game will be. I feel United are more likely to struggle against the low block because that's when they're expected to dominate the ball. They're expected to have That's where you need patterns of play. That's where your identity kind of shines through. Whereas counter-attacking football is already embedded in this crop of players already. We've seen it under Oli, and we've seen it continue on.
I've got a question for you two then. You're the manager of United. Or how do you set up? Do you set up the same way as your previous opponents, Arsenal, or do you set up different? What changes?
The fans are not having that. Man United can't set up. How they came to Arsenal, they can't do that at Old Trafford. They have to be.
You know what it is? It's a difficult question to answer for me, because I look at it and I say, you would like United to start on the front foot and to be not as negative as they were against Arsenal, where the defenders and goalkeepers are playing 1-2 with each other.
Brighton are very attacking.
Brighton are very attacking. Brighton are very good on the ball. Brighton are very comfortable being pressed. So if you do go and press them and you don't win that ball back in that press, you're going to have serious problems.
You're fucked.
So it's a bit of a. This is the problem. This is the problem with United, because they don't have a style of play, because they're not comfortable in possession, because they don't look like they understand how to play the game. Everybody looks kind of lost out there. They don't have relationships. Like, I think there was a run when Rashford was running down the wing and Højlund was making a dart into the box, and they don't have that understanding yet. It's going to be hot. I don't see them being able to play a possession game. I think it's going to be a season where, in the tougher games, they'll go back to counter-attacking football, and in the lesser games, they'll work on trying to build some sort of philosophy and some sort of identity. So this game, I expect them to go to a counter-attacking style, and that would probably be the best style. Because if you try and play Brighton at Brighton football, and you don't know what you're doing, and you can't build out the back, it's good night.
I think as a home team, a big home team, like a big club playing at home, even if you want to play on a counter-attack, I think it's difficult to drop so deep when you're playing at home and you're a bigger club. So even if they want to play counter-attack, I feel like their defensive line will still be much higher than it was against Arsenal.
Yeah, it probably will be, because they're at home. I'd agree with that. I think.
But the problem is with that is that Evan Ferguson is going to enjoy trying to fight with Lisandro Martinez.
Yeah.
And
that's going to be a good battle. I'm a love watching the Butcher.
Matoma is definitely going to run at
He's injured, I think.
I know what does his thing, but Matoma's ready.
You know what? Yeah, I think Evan. If I'm not mistaken, Evan Ferguson's injured.
Don't play with me, because my FPL don't need that right now.
Yeah, oh boy, I'm just double checking that, but I did see that. I did see something about that earlier, or I did hear about that.
I didn't even play fantasy. My heart couldn't take it, bro.
I'm seeing that.
Yeah.
Knee injury, he's got 75%.
Yeah. So look, you never know. The manager could be playing it down and whatnot. But if he is that's a massive loss. But the reality is on the ball.
Bring on Welbeck.
Yeah, Welbeck will give him problems as well, man. Just don't get twisted. And they got João Pedro. He's a nice, very nice, young, talented Brazilian forward from the side from Watford.
Yeah, I think he's a bit erratic. He works hard.
Who do you think wins this game then? Before we move on,
I'm going for a draw. I think United in transition will give them problems. I think Matoma hasn't learned how to deal with Wan-Bissaka. I think Martinelli and I can't remember who it was have shown the best things to do when you're trying to run at Wan-Bissaka, which is maybe not try and cut in, but just take him down the line and give him problems that way. It's not to say Wan-Bissaka didn't have a good game against Arsenal, but he was still able to get something out, or to get some joy from that wing by going down the line and attempting to cross it. Because as soon as you cut inside or you give Wan-Bissaka a chance for that slide tackle, them spider legs are clamping that ball. So I think I can see them two cancel themselves out, man. I think a 2-2 draw.
I'm going Brighton 2-1. They went to Old Trafford last year and tore them apart. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not seeing any different. If Man United let in an early goal, we have issues. They're not like Brighton are not Nottingham Forest. If Brighton score at Old Trafford before United score, we have alarm bells ringing. I'm still only going 2-1, but it's going to be a very tricky game for United to play, just to play. You don't know how Casemiro's coming back from playing in Brazil. His legs were already going. Who knows how he's going to be feeling? I think it's going to be a tricky game.
I'm going for a draw as well, you know. I just something about playing at Old Trafford. I think they'll get peppered the whole game, but I think United will do enough to get a point at their game minimum. But they're not the greatest attacking. I think Brighton attack better than them, their gameplay. But United at Old Trafford, man, I can't see them getting no points from it. So I'm saying the minimum I get from point.
Wouldn't it be beautiful if United lost? Like, can you imagine like the pressure? Like after everything that's kicked off this week, you know, you've got this whole, you know, Jadon Sancho drama. You know, you've got Anthony's legal issues in the background. You had the Mason Greenwood issue. After all this shit show, they had an L just before the international break, which is the worst way you want to leave an international break because there's nothing really to talk about, and they're dwelling on that loss. So for them to come back and then lose at home, could you imagine like the uproar and the meltdowns and the way the media will go in? It'll be interesting, and I think.
Yes, mate.
And I think if that does happen, I think Ten Hag there will be a lot of pressure starting to kind of grow on Ten Hag. I don't mean like him to be sacked, but there will just be things because they got Bayern Munich after that. So you lose to Brighton, you're probably going to catch an L to Dortmund. It's peak, bro. Like it's not, you know, you're going to be coming off 3 losses potentially. So.
And it's a very good chance that that's 3 losses as well. It's not like it's it could do. They could easily get those 3 losses. But we'll move on.
Should we quickly touch on Jadon Sancho? Everyone's thoughts quickly.
My thoughts are free him up. Ten Hag's a pussy, or you got space for him over at the Emirates. So those are my serious thoughts, man. Free him up.
Nah, yeah. I think he's done him dirty, and then Sancho's retaliated in the most, I wouldn't say professional, but the only way he can express himself is to write notes on your, you know, like or I say they write notes and then they just pin it on their page, you know, or they put out, you know, a little statement and whatnot. But again, it's not like he's in his 30s or in his 40s and he's not playing, he's unhappy, and I feel like he's voiced his opinions. Like I genuinely feel like I've not heard he don't train well. Like I've heard he's got an attitude where he thinks he's better than people from young, but I've never heard personally he doesn't train well, or he doesn't give his 100% on training. He's what I've always been told. He's somebody, if he's not subbed on, he's like, bro, why am I not being subbed on, or why am I not playing, or da. But from what he's being accused of, what I've been told, I can't. I've never heard anybody say that's his problem. So personally, I think it's free Sancho. You sign somebody who's, to be fair, why did he go United? I don't care. United don't suit your style of play. He's old enough to know United don't suit your style of play. You started at sea, you went to your rivals. What do you want me to do?
You weren't there for the bag, bro. Let's keep it.
I hear it.
He's still the highest paid player right now at United.
I'll give you one example, and I feel like people should learn from this. Do you remember Sean Wright-Phillips, Man City and Chelsea? Remember the switcheroonies he was doing there and back? Because he learned the grass is not green all the time. That was when we was young, So I'm just saying, I hear the bag and the bigger bag and whatnot, but he left City to play football. He didn't have to leave Dortmund. I get you want to play, you want to go, you want to get money, but I'm just like, that's the first part. But in this regards to this particular moment, I don't think he's done anything wrong. He basically said, you've said this is why I'm not playing. I've always trained well. I've always done what needs to be done to play. And my professionalism has been the highest and whatnot. He might have a bad attitude.
I think his biggest problem is knowing that probably other guys are training shit too. And on top of that, they're playing shit. So, like, I don't really understand why you're shouting me. I didn't play that game where you got banged out by Arsenal. Why are you talking about?
Pre-season as well, he was playing as a false 9 and he played well. He didn't. That's what I'm saying. This is one of the arguments we had, episode 3, where was being tested there. He performed against big teams as well and came back, and he's back to being met. So you've tried him there. I think some managers just need to have, like, I don't know, man. I just feel like Again, I agree. I agree with you.
Man.
Oh, you guys are losing with or without me, so you're just trying to throw. And you bring back man like Evans, but then you're moving like say, like you know what I mean? It's like your club is in the dirt, bro.
I see it from both sides. I think there may be some truth to him not training well. Well, I think Ten Hag did him dirty, and I think Ten Hag was overly emotional, and he threw man under the bus because he was bitter and angry about the loss.
You don't do that.
Because let's keep it 100, right? There's so many ways you can answer that question. There's so many ways. There's so many different.
Mate, you can say I don't want to comment. No comment.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. You could say he's got a little knock in training. It was tactical. There's so many different ways you can skirt around that subject without questioning the player's professionalism and putting his reputation into disrepute. Like there's so many ways you can go about it. And what Ten Hag did, right, was more of an emotional thing because we saw it with Aubameyang, for instance, Arsenal. There were so many. We still don't know what happened with Aubameyang. We just know it was disciplinary issues. But he never come out once and said he's not a good professional or he's this. There was no character assassination. And then you get and then slowly from United media, from the club, whoever it is, you start to see a character assassination. All these like new articles about him at England, him at Dortmund, all these issues that happened in the past. So I just look at it and think the manager himself, right, with everything that's going on, with all the issues they've had, that's not the thing you need to be bringing up. You could just keep it in house and deal with it. On top of that, you're devaluing an asset. You're openly questioning his professionalism, which in turn makes it harder for you to sell him because if you're another club, a prospective club, and looking buying Sancho in January or in the summer, and you're seeing, oh shit, this guy doesn't train well. There's questions about his professionalism. That's an off-put. That's not going to make you want to go out and sign him. So I think the manager was a moment of weakness. Definitely. You know what I mean? We've seen there's a comment right now from Humble23 saying his management's becoming very questionable. It definitely is because it was not called for, had nothing to do with the game. And what's the topic of conversation after the Arsenal game? It's all about Jadon Sancho. What's dominated the headlines for the last 10 days? How does that help them going into the Brighton game?
Is that good? This is a dumb question.
Is it good? It's not good for them, man.
Those are dumb questions. We're talking about Sancho more. We're talking about Sancho more than we're talking about like people talking about the Arsenal game. They ultimately forgot about the Arsenal game for a minute. And the United fans,
they needed to.
It's like it was a media stunt. Okay, cool. And they were just gonna power more and more on
right now. It's not even about football for them. They've got so much going on off the pitch that I just feel like Ten Hag needs to stop worrying about everything that's going wrong and try and find something that he can do. Like he's not doing his job, which is why he's throwing other people everywhere. Obviously, he's got difficulties. He's lost Mason Greenwood. He's lost Anthony right now. But you've lost two players that play in Jadon Sancho's position. What do you think you're doing?
But this is your
time to hug him and say, yo, you're tired.
I need you. Can I trust you?
Yeah, I need you. You are a big player.
Show me. Give him a club hug.
Bro, let me give you an example, right, of like two different ways here of the way in which this has been dealt with. There was obviously we've been seeing the struggles with Richarlison, and you see Ange come out. I think came out today, and he was saying, you know, we're going to do everything we can to support the player to get the best out of the player. You know, whatever he needs, he has my support. That's a really brilliant way of managing it. And if there is issues, the squad will know about it. The squad will understand why you're disciplining him, why he's not in the squad anyways. So your example's been made. It doesn't need to be made out in the public unless you're trying to create this image that you're doing well. But if you have power, I don't need to go around saying, you know what I'm trying to say to you? Like, if you're strong, man, you don't need to walk around saying, yo, bro, I'm strong. Do you know what I'm trying to say to you? You're just like, you're comfortable in your own skin. Yeah, you look at it, you know what I'm saying to you? You're comfortable in your own skin. But it's more like he's gone out to the media to kind of be like, look, I'm that guy, yeah? You see this guy's training rubbish? Yeah, he's out of the squad. Because I want you all to know of the power that I wield. But it's like, is it real power if you need to go and do that? You could have swept it under the rug.
You see him last year?
At this moment, no, I don't, because I just think they're not improving. I don't
Do you see
think
any manager lasting right now with this
United.
Yeah, in
100%.
this era.
There's managers that
There's
can.
managers that will last.
What? 100%.
100%. Look, end of the day is look, I've seen dark days for my own club. I'm sure you've seen. Well, I'm not sure. I know you've seen dark days for your club. Yeah, right. So we're not Man City fans. Even Man City fans. Listen, we're not Man City fans, but even they seen dark days themselves from back in the day. So, like, we know what it's like to rebuild and to see your club at the bottom, and there is a way to do it. But everything United are doing at the moment just seems to be problematic. Everything, the whole Greenwood issue. Now you've got the Anthony saga. Anthony got dropped by Brazil before he got dropped for United. Everything that's just kicking off. It's just one thing after the other. And a manager, all this does is put more pressure on United. It brings the spotlight on them, and you don't need the media talking about United for a whole week and the manager's battle with this player and that player before a big game against Brighton, especially when you haven't had the best of starts. I think they're 12th in the league. That's not what you need right now. What you want is to go into a calm environment, an environment that wanna bounce back, that there's not all this pressure or there's not all this talk lingering over them, so they can kind of move forward. And it's a shit show, man. It's a circus over there, man. And they turned in. I know, like Bayern Munich have this nickname called FC Hollywood, and it's kind of like been, translated over to Man United because they're the ones with all this, this drama.
It's true.
Clearly, Man United ain't getting out of that hole anytime soon. But unfortunately for us, we got to go talk about other teams. As much as we'd love to sit here and brush United,
we love talking about United, don't we?
Bro, there's so much to talk about. You know what I'm saying to you. When your club's in the dumps, boy. When your club's in the gulag, it's you got to talk about it, and it's nice to enjoy their demise as well because
it's not your team, right?
Well,
it's been our
saying,
team, so
we'll move on to someone else's team.
Oh, here we go. Early kickoff. Liverpool away to Wolves. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna throw myself for a start. I'm gonna start. I saw Klopp talking earlier about the fact 12 fake kickoffs ain't, well, he dodged the question really, but he's talking about fixtures. He said if he complains, he's seen as a baby. Even though every manager really complains.
He hates that guy as well, don't he? That James Pearce guy.
I ain't feeling it myself, to be fair, personally.
Bro, for the way Klopp spazzed at him for that question, I was just like, oh, this guy.
Third time I think he spazzed on him as well, because I think Klopp knows that those questions set him up to be on the newspapers and just headlines, in it, when it's not just him complaining about them. I hear it. He was talking about his example was Darwin. He hasn't seen Darwin train because of his game in South America. He hasn't been back to train or nothing. So but he's got a game. He's got a game in less than 24 hours. So he's like, I ain't seen one couple of my players, but then you want me to complain. I ain't seen a couple of my players because of the time. James Pearce already posted that Nunes won't be able to be part of the squad because of this. So you're asking this, and June's like, of course, I've got a 12 fake kickoff.
Bro, he took it personally, bro. He took it.
But they've been going back and forth for a minute, though, innit?
Bro, he took it, yeah, like Sully took it when Deshane stole. Stole from him. That's how he took it, bro. Like, he took it personally.
No spoilers, bro. No spoilers. What are you doing?
You ain't seen it already? Oh, come on, bro. It's been a week and a half. Bro.
Big live, Big live. That's how I make sure I watch it. Twitter was ruining it for me.
Bro, that's right.
I feel like
he took that, bro. That question gets asked, to managers of any big club all the time.
You have to remember, Klopp was headlines because saying he's moaning. Remember, then there was that thing going around the 19 reasons Klopp used as an example of why they didn't, whatever. The grass wasn't water enough, all this stuff, the rain. So I hear it.
Klopp, man. Klopp, he makes too much noise. And
you know what, though? It's always been like that. So my thing is that everyone loved Klopp before he came the Liverpool manager. All you ops live love Klopp to get Liverpool manager. I get that, but he's not the only one that's complained. Every manager complained about 12 fake kickoffs. That's played a week midweek game. No. You watch your face. Name me a manager hasn't. Name me a manager doesn't play Champions League or Europa League and gets 12 or 30 kickoff and hasn't complained about it.
But the problem is not about him complaining. It's the way in which he responds. Like, I've seen I've seen
Yeah, but
Arteta complain. I've seen Pep.
Everybody accepted Mourinho when he just, I don't care, I don't want to. But then when Klopp's been unapologetic himself every time. He's been this way
Bro, Klopp's a bit of a villain, bro. He's got that bully arc to him, bro. He looks like a James Bond villain, bro.
Let him be. What's it, Wario? Is it Wario?
He's a villain, bro.
Wario, bro.
He's a villain, bro. That's what it is.
You can't Mario without Wario. Well, to be fair, you can because that's
bro. You can, bro. You don't have battles without Mario, but
no, but honestly,
wait, it was unnecessary though. The way he shut down that present like that.
No, but that's different though. It's because it's James Pearce. This is the fourth time he's done that because of particular things that he said. Talks about him. But again, I disagree because it's unprofessional, and you are a manager, so you're open to being. You have to be open to people's opinions, and you have to be whatever. And if you disagree, you can't. Klopp does have a bullish mentality. I definitely agree with that. But going into the game, there is a lot of problems with us to do with 12:30 kickoffs. Yes, we know. Is it last 6? We probably lost 2, drawn 4. We know. That was in a... I'm not judging it because last... What I'm saying is, I was about to say something. I'm not standing by that, what I was going to say. So I don't say that. All I'm saying is, I feel like the last 2 seasons, although we were, fighting for everything and whatnot, and last season was awful, I feel a change, a shift in this Liverpool team. We still don't have a proper 6, but we've got a 6. And he's got obviously Grambach and McAllister who's playing in them roles. I still don't think they're strong enough, but obviously Endo. But I genuinely feel like now we are in a position where we're going to change the tie here. We're going to...
I don't see no issues for Liverpool tomorrow. You are on good form. Your forwards look like they just want to score goals. And I even think if Wolves come to play, there's not enough.
Again, looking at the score, like goal scoring, I don't know who's gonna get their goals. I don't think it's a L. I think it's a W. I think it's a very convincing W. I love the way Joe Gomez played in the last game. I love the way I just loved how he stepped up, and that's one thing. Joe Gomez is like my guy in it, so I always felt like we got Konate back, so he might go. I'm hoping he goes. He's probably gonna go Matip in it. I would love to see Joe Gomez play with Konate, but then I just feel like Matip brings a little bit more of a leadership into the defense with his experience. So we got no Trent, so then you will probably see Joe Gomez at right back. It is a shift, but sometimes I feel like that might be a benefit for us for a type of game like Wolves, where they're probably going to try to hit us on the counter attack, and the defense, Gomez and Konate ain't played that much together. Konate's coming back from injury. It'll be good to see that. So personally, I don't see it be a troubling us. I think Wolves are one of the teams we want to get relegated. I think Wolves are. They're not strong enough. Like where did they get their goals from? I think our attack, like you said,
that's one of their biggest issues. They don't score goals. What are they, like the lowest scoring team in the league?
At the moment, no, I think Luton are at the moment. But I remember that.
I was about saying, forget them. We don't.
Last season and stuff, I'm sure. Like
last season, they did have issues. But I will say though, when I saw Wolves play against Brighton this season, Wolves did give them a threat, and they were very, very unlucky at times. And sometimes when it comes to these, I think it was against Everton. They got a late winner against Everton. The striker, I can't remember his name, but they signed him from the Bundesliga, and he got injured straight away last season, and he was out for the whole season. Yeah, the real tall one. Yeah, I can't remember his name now. It's completely kind of slipped my mind, but he came on, scored a big winner for them. I think it'll be a tricky game because I do feel like even without Matheus Nunes, Wolves have players that are comfortable on the ball, a lot of athleticism, and it'll be interesting to see how Liverpool deal with that away from home. Obviously, they've got big injuries, 12 o'clock kickoff, straight off the international break makes it a lot harder because players that haven't had time to settle down, tactics, etc. Well, not big injuries. You've got Trent out. You've got Van Dijk suspended. Sorry, so I don't mean things but big misses.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. This is the games where I'd be like, okay, this is the time. If we're gonna miss these 2 players, these are the games. And I feel Bart's right back. I feel like technically, we're probably better off playing against a team like Wolves, where you said they're physical, athletic. I think that's where it comes to like set pieces, or for Joe Gomez to come across and support and stuff like that. I think this is a benefit, and we probably won't see Gomez inverted because I would be very shocked if I see someone like Gomez in betting. That's crazy. That's not in his game. Only thing he introduced to his game was long throws. So
I mean,
I'd be very shocked.
I feel like you guys should win. I'm not in any way trying to downplay it. I always have this.
I don't like the way you said should win though. You say it like you're saying it, but you're like, to be fair, I did think it's gonna lose.
No, it's not even that. It's like, I'll give you an example. I think Man City should win this weekend. I think Arsenal should win this weekend. But there is no guarantee in it. It's the Premier League, away grounds, difficult away places.
I would say I start strong. I feel like it's very slow and long.
I don't feel like Wolves is one of them difficult away places. I can't really see any other result but a Liverpool win. The only way I see this not ending in Liverpool win will be if it ends in a draw, and that will be down to Liverpool just not putting away their chances.
Yeah. But you know what? Look, I don't want to bring it to Arsenal, yeah, but like when I look at it like this, yeah, no, I'm gonna say
every single stream,
let me land, right this year. I'm gonna keep it 100, yeah. Everton have been, in my opinion, have been worse than Wolves this season, yeah. But I know the trip to Arsenal, the trip to Goodson is going to be difficult. I've seen Wolves play well against.
I'm saying position.
I'm talking about even performances as well, though. I'm talking about even I've seen Wolves play well against United. I've seen Wolves play good against Brighton, and I've seen Wolves get a good win against Everton. So I'm just looking at it like it's not away grounds are, especially in the Premier League with the quality that we have, the international players on each team these days. They're all difficult places to go, and if you're not on your game, if you're not at it, you'll get hurt. And that's what I'm saying to OJ. I'm like, Liverpool should win that game. The form they're in, the forwards they have, the quality, they should be able to go up to the Molineux and hit them and dispatch them comfortably. But I don't take nothing for granted with away games. I'm always like, home games, you expect to win every home game, right? That should be your minimum as a big team. But when it comes to away games, you just know that it can get tricky. You know, the crowd go against you. The crowd are up for it. Something happens in the game, it can change the whole dynamic. We saw it against Liverpool. That whole little thing with Xhaka and Trent changed the whole kind of momentum of a game. So I'm always apprehensive naturally about away games. And I'm like that for my own team. So I'm even like that for when I'm talking about opposition teams. I keep that same energy where I'm like, ooh, away games can be iffy.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree.
Yeah, I agree. It can be iffy, but I'm seeing nothing but a Liverpool win. Unfortunately, I'll be happy if Liverpool lost. Believe me.
Why? Why can't, like, I know it's not your team, but we're a team.
Fuck you, man.
Bro, we're at level points, bro. I don't want you.
Hey, all I'm saying is, Johnny, if we starting to see the on the centre back, we could really be pushing, but we ain't gonna do that.
Don't let me clip. Don't let me clip this.
If so that's like me saying, oh yeah, if we sign Haaland, we'd be top of the league. You know what I mean? Like ifs, yeah, cool. We can all talk in hypotheticals, bro.
Just let me dream. I'm just a young lad with a dream.
Bro, you dreamt, you won everything, bro. It's time to come back down to the doldrums, bro. Come back down, bro. Step down the ladder, bro.
I will say something though. I wanted to have this conversation quickly, and it's about Liverpool. And it's a side to this. Yeah, I was saying this the other day because obviously me and Chini had had this debate many times about Virgil van Dijk. Yeah,
I saw you tweeting it, bro. I saw you.
I was fishing. You didn't say that. I was fishing. But it's like I think it's sad. It's crazy to think that I've just threw it out there because I've been fighting it before. I was just saying nothing. It's crazy to think that Virgil van Dijk in his peak will never be considered, probably never be in the arguments in top 5 centre backs. If he
didn't have a peak, bro.
Well, he got injured, so from there he got to say, some people class longevity. Some people say, oh, but in his time he's on. So my thing is, it's just very upsetting that somebody of his caliber and how good he was. Obviously, people say, oh, he's not that great. He hides behind players. People were shook to run at him. He was good, yeah. And then he's not in that conversation. He will never be in that conversation. I can't put him in that conversation personally because, that in terms. So it's crazy how that's it. Done.
You know what it is, yeah? He definitely did have a peak, but the issue with his peak is that it was so short-lived. And that's what separates the greats from the rest, right? If we look at it, like the reason why Messi, Ronaldo have been lauded as two of the best players to ever play the game is because of how great they were for the longevity as well, for how long it was. It wasn't a 2-year stint. It wasn't even a 4-year stint. Like, even look at the likes of Ronaldinho, who's one of my favorite players, yeah, because I just who made me enjoy watching football, right? For me, that's what that's when you look at Rio. What you say?
Is this a Liverpool fan we got in there?
Yeah, he had a peak. So this is humble 23. He had a peak, albeit a shorter one than some other greats. He did, and that's facts, man. He did have a peak, like, but unfortunately for him, if you compare it to the likes of Rio, who was on top form for numerous years, yeah, it wasn't a 2-year span. It was at least a 6-7 year span. You look at it with Terry, you know what I mean?
I just think it's sad to know that how good he was, and he could have been, like, if he just would have the injury changed everything. He just never.
It did, bro. But I also think as well with Van Dijk. I also think with Van Dijk, one of the big issues for Van Dijk, which he was always going to suffer with, was his peak came very late on in his career, in the sense of he moved to you when he was 26, right? I'm guessing 26.
I think he just turned 27. Like, he was turning 27 or something like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, like, he's a well-seasoned player at that stage of his career. Where you look at, like, what you say, Jimmy?
He gave you what, 2.5 years?
I think he gave him 4 years, no?
As in,
no, I'm thinking about solid power. Like power.
No, it's 3.
3 years.
2.5. He did come in January.
Probably 2.5. Yeah.
If players were judged solely on that small period of time where they're absolutely going crazy.
But I think if you're being unfair though, like, I hear it, it's facts.
You see players he was. Alexis Sanchez, where are we ranking him then?
I rank him high. I love Alexis Sanchez.
So do I. But guess what? He doesn't get spoken about because his peak weren't long enough.
Yeah, bro. Longevity determines greatness. When you look at the greats of any sport, they all have longevity. It's not about doing it for one season. Like, even I'll give you examples. RVP.
I mean,
RVP was, for me, technically, he's probably one of the best strikers we've seen. But his peak wasn't long enough to be considered in that bracket for top Premier League strikers. Technically, for me, he's probably one of the best strikers we've ever seen in the Premier League. He could do everything. He could pass, he could shoot, he could free kicks, headers, volleys. Disgusting. But how long was his peak?
He had
3 seasons. One season at United, and then a season. What you say?
Yeah, the season at Arsenal, the season at United,
and half a season before that. That's what I'm trying to say to you. So it's like, but over that period, for me, he's one of the best strikers in the world. His peak, if you're talking about Van Dijk at his peak, where does he rank? That's a whole different conversation to, is he a Premier League great?
That's the conversation I'm having. I said I had to physically alter the words.
Yeah.
Because people
so you're basically saying when Van Dijk was at his very best, was he better than Terry at his very best, or Campbell at his very best?
Yeah. That's maybe a more valid.
Because for me, Van Dijk will come in. He's not coming in the top 5 question. I agree with that. Me and you had beefs over this already. Yeah, cool. He's not coming in the top 5. I admit it. Yeah, I didn't want to admit it, but I have to admit it. Top 10 is an argument. I don't know. But if then the conversation is peak versus peak, then again, I don't like that argument either. I don't like
that's a fair argument. Yeah, see, look.
Yeah, no, that's a fair argument. But I hate going in your peak. Who was like, he's not even been playing at his peak for that long.
Look, Humble 23 again. You comes up with a real good comment over here.
I feel like this one is this one's a reach because we're talking about like someone that's gone and broke his leg, come back, won World Cups before man scoring 20, 30 goals at 19 years old. I think this one's a bit different.
Yeah. So the comment, just for those listening, R9 didn't have a very long peak, but at his best, was so unreal that we can't just put people above him that done it for longer. Again, the difference between R9 and say a Van Dijk, that it was more than 2.5 years.
Just say in general.
In general, but it's the reason why sometimes he doesn't get put up in that same debate as Ronaldo, even Messi, Maradona, Pele. R9, unfortunately, for one reason or another, doesn't get put into that topic of conversation. He gets put up for best striker to ever play the game, but he doesn't get put up into that Maradona, Pele, CR7, Messi conversation. It's never happened. And that's more to do with longevity. Same with Ronaldinho. For me, Ronaldinho for me was my favorite footballer, bro. I remember watching his clips on YouTube, bro. I just watch his clips and be mesmerized, bro. He played the game with a smile, bro. Like he made football.
Right. That is the top point that you just made. Like R9,
what?
When you compare him to like strikers. Right. Who's the best striker? When you come talk about Messi, you're saying who's the best player ever?
Yes, that's the difference.
Yeah, I totally understand. He's in a different bracket.
A different bracket. And had he not had those injuries, had he not had those problems, he probably would have elevated himself into that category. The same way Van Dijk probably would have elevated himself into the category of best Premier League centre-backs. But unfortunately for him...
Top 10, I can take it.
Yeah, top 10. He can go in top 10.
As long as he's not 10th. All right, so...
He's ninth.
That was my...
Don't worry, he's ninth, bro. He's ninth. Yeah, say no more.
I'll take it. In 2 years, I'll take it. He's won everything.
He's ninth, boy. Well, maybe he's on par with Titus Brown.
Hey! Remember that game when you guys played Titus Brown before this Usher in back and they ain't get
paid? Let me ask you one thing. Van Dijk or Vincent Kompany for better legacy?
Company's got the better... Definitely Kompany was the better... had more longevity, so I'd say Kompany. But if you're asking me in their peak, who would I take? I'll take Virgil van Dijk personally.
He's Mr. Virgil van Dijk to you outside ops.
You know what? Yeah, just for that, I'm taking Kompany. This guy just.
We already gave you the answer.
Boy, retract his statement. No. Don't tell me to put no Mr. in front of his name, bro. Virgil van Dun. That's his nickname now, bro. He's finished, bro.
I think Van Dijk is a top player. Like he's on the ball, he's top. But he's physically obviously a super specimen. But obviously since his injury, he became just a good player. And when you compare it to what you know of him, it's sad. So now he's just a good defender. He's not good enough to be put in the same categories as players that have done this for over a period of time. And we're not penalizing him for getting injured, but unfortunately he did. And a lot of the best players, or the players that we rate as the best players in the world, or ever, they didn't get injured.
It's a harsh reality. They didn't get injured.
What can we do about it?
Look at Messi, look at Ronaldo, right? Obviously, we're not old enough to talk about Maradona and Pele, but look at them two. They're not players that have been plagued with injuries. They're really not. You know, when we look at even when we talk about Premier League greats, there's a reason why Henry's number one and CR7 isn't, because CR7 only had a few levels at that real top level at United before he left. If he was there for 6-7 years at that top level, what he was at when he was at Madrid, he probably would have been the best Premier League player to ever play, right? He'd probably have snatched that crown, but he wasn't in the Premier League long enough for that. So longevity holds a significant amount of weight, in my opinion.
I saw them having a conversation about Henry and Michael Owen, though. I saw that. I know I was moving on to this topic, but
bro. Next topic, please, bro. Don't put Owen next to Henry, bro. Don't do that.
I just said, bro.
Because
I heard.
And what are you saying about this? What are you saying about the comment that you heard? Because
I'm saying
just know the next thing that comes out your mouth will be clear.
Henry is top dog. I'm just saying, just man them like to shit on Michael Owen, but just say Henry's top dog. Don't get twisted, but don't shit on. Michael Owen. Don't shit on.
Hey, listen, don't even call Owen the top dog, bro. He's a puppy compared to Owen. He's a puppy, bro. He's a puppy, bro. Bro, man's a newborn.
Come in a conversation with Henry.
Yeah, bro. Owen's a newborn.
The Twitter debates. It weren't my debate. You might have started me because
listen.
He's
this is the funny thing about it.
Unfollow them.
Listen, Owen don't even lace Wayne Rooney's boots or Aguero's boots. Yet you're talking about Henry, bro. That man there.
You're like you're apple attacked. Bro, Twitter debate.
Bro, man out here trying to rep his legend, bro. That's what it is, bro. Remember he went over to United, won titles, didn't it? Huh?
I'm just
You
saying.
want,
I give it that one. I give it that one. So
but we move, innit? We move because you've killed us with that one.
yeah, I know. Sorry, I went way left.
bro, you went left, bro. Bro, you went way left, bro.
Mr. Wise about to kill us with this one.
Bro,
Mr. Wise
I feel disgusted, bro, by that topic. You know, I still feel hurt. You know, we need to have words after the stream.
Look.
There you go.
Will it be another winless trip for Arsenal at Goodison?
No.
As we know, Arsenal ain't won there for 5 long years, brother.
Bro, it's been 6, you know. It's not even 5, it's 6, you know. We ain't won since Wenger.
What's that mean? I've been waiting for 80 years.
Bro, the last time we won there, Iwobi was coming up, if I'm not mistaken. I swear it was that game when Iwobi scored.
Yeah, he was doing big 4-4, no safety.
Yeah, when he was doing the big 4-5. Yeah. You know what I'm trying to say to you? When he was doing gunshots. Yeah, bro, that was the last time we... Huh?
He was doing the...
Yeah, bro. The big 4-5, bro. That's what he was doing, bro. The gunshots, bro. So that was the last time, like, Everton held corn. You know what I'm saying? But it's been a minute, you know, and I can't lie. I've never been confident whenever we come up against Sean Dyche's sides. Like we have. We say?
You're smoking them. I've watched Everton games, and it's not just because of my rivals. Bro. I've watched their games and they've come back like that. What's it? Is it Brighton? Who did they beat 1-0? Well, not the game week 2. They were terrible. Was it Wolves? Whatever. Terrible all game and nicked a win. Everton are awful.
Bro, listen.
They got one man in their midfield that I think is a good signing, and everyone else is and everyone else.
But you know what it is though? Oh, when you got PTSD, when you keep going to somewhere and you're not winning, yeah. Naturally, you're nervous, isn't it? You know what I'm trying to say to you?
If you want to win the league, you gotta get over your PTSD.
I don't think our proper players have PTSD over Everton.
I'm talking about me. I'm talking about me as a fan. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about me. I'm like, I'm nervous.
Declan is gonna boss that midfield. Can't lie to you.
We say
who?
Big Declan.
Bro,
gonna boss that midfield. He is a great signing, and his presence in the midfield is just. What a player!
But listen, let me tell you why I'm not comfortable. Why I have slight nerves about Arsenal versus Everton. Just to like put some context into it. Firstly, our record there over the last 6 years, we haven't won in 6 years over there, right? If you look at our record against,
meant to be broken, sir.
Yeah, cool, bro. But again, let me land. On top of that, whenever we came up against Sean Dyche's Burnley with Arteta, we didn't typically do well, whether it be home or away. I remember there was one game. I'm sure, Chili, you'll probably remember this one when Xhaka got sent off, and I think we struggled for. I'm not sure if we drew that game. Against Burnley, yes.
The one that he done the mad back pass, or he tried to receive it short.
No, it's the one where I think he kicked out. I think he kicked out of somebody, and he got a silly.
Who knows with Xhaka, isn't it? It's always like.
Yeah, right. So, but our record against what's his name, Stone Cold Steve Austin, is not the greatest, isn't it? So those are the two things that made me a bit nervous. And obviously Everton they've got this new striker called Beto, I think his name is, signed from the Italian league. Yeah, big 6'3", physical, fast, athletic, and they're a type of team that will live off set pieces, corners, free kicks.
Hey, Mr. White, you're doing my bio for my next Tinder page, bro. I said big 6'3" athletic build. If I ever get a Tinder, you're right. You're or a Hinge, you're all right.
Hey, bro, what? Man want me to write a lot of fiction in the biography, yeah? Say no more, bro. I've got you, bro. Man, got
the greatest story ever told.
Bro, I got you, bro. I got you. But you know what I'm saying to you, that's the type of team they are, isn't it? And those type of teams, like a West Ham, can make it on any given day. They can create problems for somebody. 9 out of 10 times, I'd expect to go to Goodison and get a result based on the way they're playing. But the way they play, the type of players they have, that's the type of team that can go and give you issues with a set piece goal and be 1-0 up, and then they'll go and just sit in the lowest, nastiest. You know what I mean? Brexit, low block. You know what I'm saying to you? You know what they'll do. So
I felt that. Yeah, you definitely have PTSD.
Bro,
Bro.
I totally agree that we got. It's a hard game. They're gonna sit low. They're gonna try and win set pieces. They're gonna rough up they're gonna try and rough up our players. But I feel like Arteta's got a balance between physical presence and playing ball at an all-time high right now for Arsenal right now, since the old days of Wenger. We've got the big dirty players that will kick you up in the air, and then we've got the players that can play. And I don't feel like we can be bullied anymore. I think Humble23 said in the comments that you win your duels, as Arteta says, win your duels. You win them duels, and you win that game. I think it'll be interesting to see who he starts up front, because obviously Nketiah's been leading the line with Jesus out. Jesus obviously came on and scored. Nketiah went away with England and didn't get any minutes. So it might be a bit of a tricky one there. And the other thing will be to see. I think he'll persist with Havertz, even though Vieira, maybe, because Vieira's he didn't go away with Portugal, which means that
I've no chance he starts. No chance. I'll tell you right now for free. No chance.
Did he start against Everton last year?
No, he didn't. He started against Brentford, and I think he started against Bournemouth, if I'm not mistaken. Or did he? I'm not sure. I know he started against Brentford away, and I think he did start against.
I think he just starts against. He starts Havertz because they're going to sit so deep. Havertz more or less gets a free role as a second striker to cause.
And also, I think set pieces as well. The height, another body who can,
I'm
help
not gonna
defend.
lie, yeah. I'm one for I'm giving Havertz some time to adjust to the system, but when I'm talking about the system, I'm talking about the way he interchanges, the way he goes about his attacking work, the positions he takes up. But I can't condone misses like the one against United. I'm not going to lie to you. If he does that again, we might have some serious issues, because I really can't condone that. And that stuff there will cost us 3 big points. So he's got another chance for me, I think. With Zinchenko back in the team, our team looks like so much more comfortable. Obviously, Partey's still out. I think with Zinchenko in the team, it gives Declan Rice the opportunity to get a bit forward sometimes, get back, because he knows Zinchenko's there in the middle as well. Zinchenko goes roam, and I think our balance is really good. I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple changes depending on how the team came back from international duty. So I'd be I'm not sure about the lineup this week, but I still see Arsenal winning this game 2-0. 2-0. I don't think even we'll concede. Our away defensive record is very good. Ramsdale seems to turn the screw on when we go away. He likes them crazy atmospheres. So I don't see anything but Arsenal win, to be honest.
Right, just to go back onto that point, about us saying to you about Sean Dyche's record, So he's come up against Arteta 7 times, He's won twice, drawn 3 times, and lost twice. So what I mean is, it's not the worst record. You know what I'm trying to say? If you think about it, he's got 5 win or draws against Arteta in the 7 games he's played against him. So that was another concern for me. It was something that I just kind of thought of on the spot, because I remember our record against Sean Dyche's teams was always a bit of an issue under Arteta, and I just had a look at the stats, and that kind of correlates. But like you, I do think we should be getting a result. I mean, I do want to touch on Havertz. I like you, very disappointed in what I've seen so far. But again, I feel like at the minute, he is very much a scapegoat for a lot of things. I think he's a very easy target to blame, and his performances doesn't help. I mean, the good thing at least I can give him is that I'm seeing some level of application, which
I'm not totally disappointed in performance, because right now I just feel like some of our players are on 2 different wavelengths to him. But what I do know is that players like Jesus, players like Zinchenko, they will make the game easier for him, because they understand the game at a different level. But
at the same time, the reason why I say I'm disappointed with performances is that there are moments or very simple moments in the game where I expect a professional footballer and a footballer who's supposed to be of that certain caliber and skill set to not do. Like that pass that he gave against United was criminal, right? It was criminal. Forget even the miss, when he misses the ball completely for the shot. That's criminal. You can't lose the ball out there, especially when your CDM has gone rushing forward to press. Like, it's inexcusable, and that's where I criticize, because there's little things where there are moments where new signings come in and they're not particularly shining, but on the other side, they're not really doing anything that contributes to the downfall of the team. So it's more like you can kind of wait, but I don't want to see parts in Havertz's game where he's actually contributing to us negatively. That's when I have an issue with it. I'm still willing to give him time. I'm not going to jump on him. I'm not going to be reactive and be like, get the brother out of the club. I mean, I didn't want him. I've always said I never wanted him, but I'm going to give him time. I'm not going to create some agenda because he wasn't the type of person I wanted. But at the same time, I feel like I want to see more of the basics. I want to see him clean on the ball. I don't want to see him misplacing passes. I want him to see him dribbling. I want to see his confidence building because he's getting game time. I mean, we saw I know he had a horrible, horrible game against Japan where he got the worst rating on the pitch. But then he also came on against France and got the assist for the winning goal. I would want to see more of that from him. But I do expect him to start because he's a big player. We haven't got Partey, so we're going to need some sort of physicality in that midfield, some height for the set pieces and aerial threats that Everton offer. But I would expect us to go out and win. I expect Jesus to come in after he sent Dalot back to Portugal. Man needs to come into that starting 11. That's without a doubt. He's also had time to go away to Brazil, train, etc. Eddie never really came on for England neither. So, yeah, man, I think, look, this is the season where we're expecting Arsenal to be in a title challenge. And to be in a title challenge, you have to do things that you're not comfortable with. I mean, one of the records we talked about, I think it was on game week 2 when Arsenal played Palace, was that Arsenal have never won a Monday night fixture. And I think Arteta had played maybe 5 or 6, and he hadn't won none of them. And we finally broke that duck. So I'm hoping the same could be said about Everton. I'm hoping we can go there and for the first time under Arteta, go and grab a win, because this Everton side are extremely poor, like O said.
Yeah, I don't even want to see us grab a win. I feel like we can go and assert our game like we should and just win the game. Like, go and stifle them early on, be on the front foot, get outside their box, camp outside their box, have a few shots early to get the crowd just kind of on a low, like on a little downer, and then take it from there. The moment that you give a team like that at home any sort of like chance or openings, the crowd's going to get on their side. The players are going to start flying into challenges. They're going to be cheering every corner, every free kick. We don't need that. We just need to keep the crowd quiet, score early, and then control the game. Try and actually control the game whilst you're in the ascendancy instead of the 100 miles per hour. We need to do the controlled game.
I mean, ideally, I'd like the game to go like that, but I have this thing, as you all heard me say earlier, about away games. So for me, I look at it like, just go and do the job. Like we saw City the other day go to Sheffield United. Didn't play particularly well. Scored a goal, conceded a goal straight away. Got an equaliser, got a winner, straight away with Rodri, and then bounced. That's what they do. They just get the results and get out of there. So for away games, if we can get that performance where we're showing lots of control and we're seeing beautiful football and we're seeing our style come back, that would be brilliant. But the main thing I want and the base thing I want is to take those 3 points and get the hell out of there and not see them until next season. That's all I care about with every tricky away game. And that's just my outlook on it for
away games. Say every away game that we go to?
Every away game, that is the minimum requirement. Performances, bro, when you go away to tough grounds, noisy grounds, tight pitch, you know what I mean? It's not a pleasant place to go. And all you want to do is ideally, you like to play swashbuckling football, go in there, play champagne, do all the champagne stuff, flicks, tricks, put them to shame, bag 4-5 past them, and you know what I mean, and celebrate. But the reality is that this is a tough league these days. Everyone's got top players, everyone's got big money, and everyone's signing players that could be, when you look at who Nottingham Forest signed, the type of players they've signed. Ibrahim Sangare from PSV. A few years ago, he was being talked at as being wanted by Champions League clubs. Now he's at Forest. So it's like, this is the type of caliber of players that most players in the Premier League have these days. And there's real quality everywhere. So for me, it's like, you've got to just you've got to do the bare minimums to get the W when you're away. But obviously, if you can do it with some style, if you can build something up as well, that's even better. But you look at City, for instance. City are the best team at just getting that result. Yeah, whether they're at 100 miles per hour, whether they're at 100% or 50%, they'll find a way. And that's why we call them a machine.
I hear you. But hopefully we come away with the win. Obviously, as Arsenal fans, OJ, I don't think cares too much.
I had a quick question for OJ. Hey, when you won the league, yeah? Right? Well, I'm sure you know when you won the league because it's the only one you won. But how was your performances over the season?
Premier League.
One Premier League. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, we had a great home run, though, innit? If you remember,
No.
What was going.
What I'm saying to you, like, were you like destroying teams? Because from what I remember is that you lot were just basically getting like loads of like 1-0s, 2-0s, 2-1s. Like it was a lot of like you weren't winning the game by half.
13-14, I think it was season or whatever it was, where we was just like trying to outscore opponents. Yeah, it was a lot of wins that were like 2-1. There was a lot, and that's something that we didn't do before. If you remember, in our history, it was go out there and score more goals. But then we saw that season, or the season before, it was very much 2-1s, 3-1s, 1-0s, those type of wins where we was winning, like seeing out
that's
games.
What I remember. Yeah, I remember like your performances not being as convincing as say some of your wins like you've had previously, but you were just getting the results. And that's
it was just like you just say go out there, do the job, get the 3 points. If it's we won ugly a lot. I remember
that's
that
what
season.
I mean.
I'm not used to this at all. A lot of 1-0s, games that usually would lose or would we'll go like score a goal in 91st minute or late in the last 25 minutes we'll be scoring a goal, and we do most of our work in the first half an hour if you remember previously. So
yeah, no, that's what I remember. That's what I thought I remembered. But again, I'm not a Liverpool fan, so I couldn't attest to that. So that's more the blueprint I'm looking at. And then obviously, if you can do Man City stuff and get 3-4-0s, brilliant.
Nah, or you can do both like us, really. So,
but you never did.
Used to.
On that note,
you never won the title them times, though, did you? So I don't know what you're talking about, bro. You still came second, bro. So...
Wait. Are you saying in our title winning league thing we didn't win no games at 3-0?
No, what season did you win the league? 1920, right?
So why are you coming from we don't listen.
I'm asking a question. What season did you win?
It doesn't matter how you win the league, yeah? Because it doesn't matter how you win the league, as long as you win it. Forget about when we won, because even the league, even when we missed out on the league, we won the Champions League, it was the same thing. But
I asked you what season did you win the league.
No, because I know where this is going. I'm avoided. I know this is going. Man City playing for West Ham at London Stadium.
He said, how you feel about Man City? You know, the team that just kept taking your titles away from you under your under Klopp's era. Let's talk about them. Why don't you start off on Man City and your thoughts of the great Man City?
Oh, you don't worry. You're gonna feel the same thing. You guys think you're gonna win the league over? Okay, what's up,
bro? Pep's got one more season left after this year, bro.
I'm just saying. Remember your words. Let me mark this day down.
Our peak's gonna be longer than yours, bro.
What?
Our peak's gonna be longer than yours.
Peak.
Bro, listen, in the words of Smokey, bro, write it down.
If you don't win the league, Champions League for like 4 years, that's not a peak, bro. That was just you being nice and competing, bro.
Listen,
we're coming.
If they win the next 4 or the next 3, they won last year. When you guys are supposed to win it, you're supposed to be challengers this year. If you guys don't get close, then you don't win it. Then you don't win it next season. Then what?
Yeah, then there's an issue.
So, but you guys know that there's a high possibility. Look by your faces, you know the very high possibility.
But you know what the difference is though. I'll keep it real 100. Your Liverpool team your Liverpool team as it stands, and I'm not, listen, I'll give you lot the props. We right now are trying to be what you lot were before. We haven't reached your level yet. I'm not sitting here going to talk like big up Arsenal. Like,
at what point is this conversation changed though? In 3 years?
Bro, we still need to listen. We still need to prove ourselves. We were never that
in the conversation. You can't play the we're not ready.
Bro, listen.
What? For the rest of your season. Oh, we signed a strike this season.
I'm not saying that though. I'm just saying at the moment. Listen, at the moment right now.
Be better. Use the blueprint and be better.
No, but bro, all I'm saying to you is we're yet to even match where you lot were, and that's me keeping 100. I'm not gonna big up what we did last season as.
I mean, you spent to compete,
bro. We have to compete, but you have to listen. You're not listen. Chelsea has felt to compete. United has spent to compete.
On Chelsea, but in that sense, us and you, we are. I talked to real. Get that club.
All right, but listen to the conversation I'm having with you, right? I'm saying to you, everybody spends to compete. We've spent to compete, but just because we spent to compete doesn't mean we've proven that we are at that level yet. We have to still prove it. What you lot did, right, was prove.
Last season was a bit of a...
No,
but I'm saying to you again, we did what we did last season. All right, you think so? Cool, calm. Yeah. I remember that as well. I'll take a note of that one still, yeah. And I'll hold that against you come end of the season. We'll see who finishes where. But I'm saying to you, right? End of the day, end of the day, right? Is that we done what we did last season? But you know what? If we don't do something this season, then what it does do is that if we don't compete this season, it shows that it will look like that season wasn't what it was. It wasn't the start of something. So we have to go on and build on that now. We haven't built on that.
Gotta be starting something. All I'm saying is, yeah, I think not you guys, because you guys are some real fans, but I feel like some Arsenal fans feel that season means this season is and that's not how football works, big man.
No, last season shows that we are coming. This season,
yeah, we're building something.
But I think well done. If
we're here to stay, and if we happen to win something big this year, then
that's the proof.
What will be the thing? Champions League or Premier League? I don't think you win either.
Bro, you know what? Bro, you know what? I keep it 100.
Did they give you guys one of the favorites to win as well? Did I read somewhere that you?
No, we're like fifth or sixth.
Yes, you're like top 5 in it.
Yeah, but you know what is
bonkers.
We've lost Mr. Y, but no, bro, we are meant to challenge. We meant to challenge this year because of what we did last year, and then hopefully, we win something this year, innit? We're trying to win something this year, something big. We want one of the big trophies. Obviously, when you're competing against a powerhouse like Man City, best manager in the world, some of the best players in the world, it's very hard. But that's the issue that we got.
From my comment came from Mr. Y's comment is when I was like, oh, but if you don't, we won one, but it's hard, you know. It's harder here for a pimp, bro. It's hard. But still, I think some fans are underestimating how hard, and I still feel like with other teams were still failing.
We saw how hard it was last year, but the problem was Arsenal fans last year saw how hard it was with a young team that is just coming. So now that they're like, bro, we had the young team and it's just coming, they're thinking this team's another year experience. They should know better. So now it's like if you put yourself in a similar position, that means you better do better once you're in that position. Because you make the same mistake twice, shame on you, bro. Shame on you.
I hear that, but that's on paper and in theory. We all seen Love Island. We all seen the catchy my type on paper. They never end with that girl, though, do they? I'm just saying. They never end with that girl.
Well, you know what, though?
Every minute on paper, you're my type on paper. Date night, you're my type on paper. The boom boom room, wherever, the hideaway, you're my type on paper. And then they're gone.
Yeah, you know, but you know what it was, though? Let's keep it a buck, though, yeah? When it was Liverpool, after you did what you did in that first season, right? You had to show that you weren't pretenders and that you were there to stay for the long run. No one could turn around and say you were 100% there until you proved it. So it's the same thing applies. It's not. No one's. I'm not coming out here.
He was coming from my team, so I can't forget. No, that's what it was.
I
don't disagree with what you're saying. I just another perspective.
All I said to you lot was, I remember your season when you won the league. there was a lot of wins where you scraped out. It wasn't maybe your swashbuckling football at its best, full flowing, brilliant football, but you just did what you did. You were like a machine that season, yeah. And you started on fire, and then you just ran away with the league. By December, it was basically
home
finished.
record was I say instrumental to how.
Bro, your whole record was phenomenal, bro. I think you got what 90. What did you get that season? 90 something points.
Yeah,
90...
we got 90.
I think you got
7, 8, 7.
Yeah, I think it was 98 points if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
yeah, because they bottled 100.
Yeah, but I'm saying to you,
we already won it. We done won it. You're like, yo, you know, out the lads.
Hey, listen, you know what? Yeah, but man's in his feelings. All I was saying to you lot was that you lot won it.
My feelings.
Bro, what I said was you.
It was a footballing opinion.
All I said was you. Right, hold on.
You disappeared.
You
disappeared. Yeah. I had to answer your debate.
Yeah.
Listen. Right. All I said was you lot were a machine. It wasn't your best football. That's all I said to you lot. That's not a bad thing. Look at Man City. We praise Man City.
You said something. I have to go. I can't remember what you said, because I was chatting so much. You said something.
Bro, listen. Bro. You're like Klopp, bro. You get
a statement with like laced with yeah.
Hey, Chinny, have you noticed, right? These Liverpool fans are like Klopp, bro. They get sensitive about any little thing, bro. All I said, yeah, was that it was machine. It wasn't swashbuckling, and all of a sudden it's what? I'm like, bro, come on.
Back to Man City, who play.
Let's talk on City. Oh yeah, I remember what I said to get your feelings. I said City that took away your titles. That's what I said to you during your.
It didn't help my feelings.
You know what? This game is interesting, you know, because West Ham
on specialism. Man, come with specialism.
You know.
Hey, talk your shit, man. Go on.
West Ham were on some decent form. Obviously, we saw what they did last year, and in the league they weren't too well, but they went on to win a European trophy, which is obviously a massive thing. They lost their best player, their captain, but they replaced well. They replaced with the likes of James Ward-Prowse. Also, shout out James Ward-Prowse, free you, because I don't know what Southgate's on. They got Edson Alvarez in there. Obviously, Paqueta's been on form. Antonio's doing his usual bullyish stuff, but he's throwing in a couple goals in there right now as well, which is even better. And they're just looking like a decent outfit. They're looking like a strong mid-table to upper-table outfit in terms of when they're at their best right now. So they're at home. Man City obviously are Man City. And it's very rare that I will put a team that I'll think Man City are going to drop any points. And the last time I did that, they went and scored Newcastle. So I'm not really going to put my head in the rope. I'm just going to say, you know what? West Ham will play well, but I watched Chelsea play West Ham. And although West Ham beat Chelsea, Chelsea should really have won that game. They put away half of their chances that they created. You give Man City the chance to be in your box that much, that's the end. That is the absolute end. So I don't think that West Ham's game plan will be good enough to stifle Man City, and they've got too many players that are not good enough defensively minded to follow the City players around.
You know what? Yeah, I actually think David Moyes, you know, Sean Dyche, all from the same school, just dealing with different players. Like, I think Moyes will come with that nasty low block. They've signed. Firstly, let's talk on the business, yeah, because I think they've done fantastically well. Like, they lost Rice, but rather than trying to just go for a like player, they went and just said, all right, we're gonna strengthen that whole midfield and sign somebody who offers a bit of what Declan Rice offers. Sign another midfield with, you know, work rate, good set piece delivery, knows the league, and then they're going to sign another young up and coming talent from Ajax in Kudos, you know, who's shown his talents for the Champions League and the World Cup. So I think they've done real well in how they've gone about in replacing Declan Rice to begin with, and they're a very well-oiled machine. They're not the most pleasant to watch. They don't do nothing spectacular. They don't move the ball like a Brighton. They don't They don't play the football in the most glamorous ways, but they're efficient, right? They know how to defend. They've got a cheat code in James Ward-Prowse for set pieces. The amount of the aerial threat that they have in that box is ridiculous as well, with the likes of Zuma and Agard and Antonio. So I think they've actually got kind of the tools to give City a problem. You know, like if you give West Ham free kicks, if you give West Ham corners, and that's what they'll live off. That whole fan base will thrive off those kind of encounters. You know what I mean? Getting corners, etc. And that's where you can hurt City. That is where you can hurt City, or even on a counter. Someone like Antonio, and he's been phenomenal this season. I can't lie. Like I thought Antonio was on a bit of a decline. I was thinking, like in the summer, I was thinking, yeah, look, they're going to shot him to Saudi. I think Gerrard was interested in him. And I was thinking, it might be the right time for him to move on, because he looked like last season he weren't really at it. But this season he's been on fire, man. He's been a handful. And Antonio on his day, he'll give any centre half some issues. And I don't think City so far have been the City of last season. Same can be said about nearly every other team, to be fair. But West Ham's a tricky place to go, and I feel like they have.
Is it though,
bro?
Like the fans are way away from the pitch. Like I don't know if it's that kind of sparkling stadium.
I don't mean it for the environment, by the way.
Yeah, I don't like the environment.
I'm not talking about just from an environment. I'm just talking about it from stylistically. If you catch West Ham on a decent day, they have tools to hurt you, and they've been like that. Minus last season, if you look over the last 3 or 4 years, West Ham's always been a game where you're like, oh, they can make it tough for us, because they can.
I totally agree, but I feel like if you let Man City, if they defend in their box, basically.
They also got no Ake, by the way, just so you know, yeah.
Man City have a striker that will enjoy sitting in that box with you. And I think that's the difference in, like, we could go to West Ham and they could defend in their box, but we don't have Haaland, who will just put something away in there. And I think that's the difference. They can't do that because something in the air, anything rolling across the box, he's smashing it.
How you give him the ball, as long as you give it in his.
And I think that's a very dangerous way to play.
It is, but it isn't at the same time, because if you look at, let's look at games, right, with like in isolation. So if you look at Sheffield United game, you look at the Fulham game, right? Fulham's game plan until they were robbed, right, with that second with that goal to go ahead from Ake. Fulham's game plan was nice. Fulham are actually playing the better football that game. No one can sit here and tell me Man City dominated that first half. Fulham should have gone into that half level at the minimal. I think there was a chance where Diaz pulled back as well. Diaz had pulled back one of the players going through. That was very unlucky to not be a sending off referee. I think the referee he didn't call it at all. Like Fulham played really well, and they played that game without Paulinho as well, which is their best player by a mile. And they came in with that, we'll sit deep, we'll take the ball back, and we'll hit them on a counter. Sheffield United, as poor as they've been, managed to hold out and do a similar type of thing. And if it wasn't for a Rodri strike, and credit to City for finding a way. I know Haaland was way forward, woeful in front of goal that game. But if it wasn't for that last minute strike from Rodri, then they could have easily dropped points. So I don't think at this moment, especially without De Bruyne, because usually when they got those low blocks, you can just give the ball to De Bruyne in that half space and have him whip them nasty balls that are impossible to defend. But you sit on that low block. Who in that City team right now do you look at and think you're going to create chance after chance in this low block? And that is who they're missing. They don't have that level of profile player in their team right now. And that for me is why they haven't been as effective in these low blocks over the last few games.
Did Chelsea have that? Do Chelsea have that player?
No, but that's why Chelsea struggle as well.
No, but they created so many chances. It's because they didn't score. They didn't have a striker.
Good point.
But Chelsea created a lot of those chances as well through down runners. The sides, and down going down the wing. Whereas I don't think City don't tend to do that because they don't play with those type of wingers or that type of width on the pitch. You know, so one of the centre backs usually will be in field. Kyle Walker will kind of.
City will find a way, though, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I hear it.
Listen, I predict it. Listen, I would expect City to go out and win. I'm not saying
a hard game, and I want to draw.
I'm not saying that.
City always find a way, man.
If you gave me £100, asked me to put money down, I'll put it on City. But I'm not sleeping on West Ham for 1 second because I know if you look at, I think West Ham are 10 points so far for the league. They're flying. Bowen's on form, right? Bowen's been doing bits. Paqueta's looked good this season. They got players, bro. They got They got offensive players that can hurt anybody in this league. You know what I'm saying to you? I remember Kudos could come in do something. I thought
4th place.
Yeah, 10 points. See, so I saw Kudos come in against Liverpool. Don't mean to shit on you again, but I saw him do his thing against. Well, I do, but listen, I see him come and do his thing, against yourselves in the Champions League, smacked in a screamer. Like they've got quality. So if City are not at their best, and we haven't seen City at their best, we could arguably sit here and say City could have lost. City could have dropped points against Burnley. They could have dropped points against Fulham. Right, but it just never transpired that way. They were clinical and they took it, and well done to them. But no one's sitting here talking like City completely destroyed these teams and made them look like.
Nah. And we know, and they've lost big player. Yeah, and they always start.
And Kovacic is out as well. Kovacic is out. Ake's out. So
I think they still have enough. I mean. Yeah, West Ham will pose a decent threat, but I just can't see I can't see them stopping Haaland, if I'm honest.
You guys want to hear a fun fact?
But
it's nothing to do with the game we're watching, but we're talking about Luton are actually 19th. Burnley are at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, but Burnley have played one less game. They haven't.
One more game.
No, they both played the same.
Oh yeah, they were
because they were meant to play each other. Yeah, I think it's to do with Burnley got smacked. I think Burnley lost. What was it? 2-0 to City, and then they lost. Who else did they lose to? I think it's the scoreline.
It's
Spurs
one more goal.
In a minute.
Yeah, that's all it is.
One more goal.
Yeah,
conceded.
Yeah, Burnley and Vincent Kompany were. It's been a tough start for him, man. And I kind of feel bad because he's a black manager as well. You know, I kind of want him to. I want to see him do well because you don't see black managers getting that many opportunities at the top level. So it'd be nice to see him shine and pick up some points because I'd hate for him to be in that dogfight.
Unless he just does terribly and then he deserves to get sacked.
No, but I'm saying to you, I hope he doesn't. Is what I'm trying to say to you. I said, you know what I'm saying to you.
I hear.
There's not enough black managers in the league. I'm just saying, like, it'd be nice to see somebody of colour do well. I mean, like, Vieira was gone after a season and a half. There's no real representation. So
I definitely agree there, and I think again that's a perfect time to wrap this up. Again, I just want to thank everybody who watched, commented, watching on if it's YouTube, if you're watching on Twitter, just thank you for watching. Make sure you guys follow us on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, like button, hit the alerts for notifications because we're going to be bringing you more and more content. I want to thank my co-hosts, Chinny and Mr. Y. Anything you want to say to anybody before we wrap it up?
No, man, it's been a really interesting show. Obviously, we've got caught up on a lot of topics. Clearly, there's been a lot to talk about obviously we've had a week and a half off, so there's been a lot to talk about. We haven't even hit every point that we wanted to talk about. But yeah, man, anything we missed, anything that you guys would want to hear us talk about, or any points that you guys disagree with or agree with, shoot us, hit us on Twitter, either on the OTP pod Twitter or any of our private accounts. Hit us up, let us know. We'll share our views, and hopefully we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Well, Chili put it perfectly, so I'm just going to say love people. And yeah, man, catch us on the next show.
I just want to say we don't condone shooting. When we say shoot us, he doesn't actually mean No, thank you, but we'll wrap it there. Thank you, guys.
Peace.